Hello Classic Crew, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about 5 important things you need to know when you're dating as a conservative woman. If you are new to my channel, here we talk about classic living, traditional values, and modern femininity, and I would love if you would consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. If you haven't already headed over to my Substack newsletter where you'll get access to a ton of exclusive content, including my book club, my movie club, as well as weekly exclusive articles, make sure to head over to classicallyabby.substack.com. Now, in today's video, I'm actually going to be sharing clips from a speech that I gave for the Center of Conservative Women's Florida Summit. So it was an amazing experience. Thank you so much to the Clare Luce Center for Conservative Women for having me. I absolutely loved speaking to the amazing group of young women that were there, and I'm really excited to share this video with you guys so you can see a little bit of what I spoke about, as well as a few questions that I answered from the audience. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Keep in mind, if you are a student on campus and you are part of a YAF chapter, Young America's Foundation, I am a speaker for YAF. So if you would like to have me come and speak at your college campus, then head over to YAF's website. Now, let's get into it.
When you're dating someone who isn't right for you, it's boring, it's stressful, it's depressing. When you're trapped at a table across from someone you don't like, but you can't leave, well, that's stressful. When you're trapped on a date and there's no exit, it's kind of boring when that person and you don't get along. And when you get home from a date that you haven't enjoyed, it's depressing when you realize nothing's going to come from it. Think about a show like Emily in Paris. I don't know if any of you guys have watched it. The spiritual successor to Sex in the City. Every episode, Emily meets, falls for, sleeps with, and breaks up with a different guy in the beautiful city of Paris. And the one guy she's had feelings for all along, well, he's in a relationship with her close friend while he's making moves on her. Does any of this sound fun to you? When you're watching a show like that and it's got brightly oversaturated colors and beautiful Parisian cafe music, it does look very attractive, and they are going to downplay how upsetting that really is. But when I break it down for you, as I just did, it sounds pretty terrible. We are supposed to see this and think, wow, adventure. But it sounds not fun. And the women in shows who make it look so fun and great are the same women who wake up in a different man's bed every day and feel nothing but regret. So why am I starting here? Why am I talking about why dating stinks? Because by dating with purpose, dating for marriage, you'll like dating. Why? You'll enjoy dating once you're dating someone you enjoy. Once you find the guy that you really like and have a future with, then going on dates with him is the best thing in the world. You're getting to do fun things with a person who you connect with, enjoy, and have longevity with. There is nothing better. So today, I want to talk about how you can date the right person and have a heck of a good time doing it. Okay, number 1. Start with my patented, classically Abby theory of chemistry and compatibility. People talk about chemistry and compatibility all the time. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I talk about it just a little bit differently. Movies and TV have lied to you about what true love looks like because it always stops at the wedding or the couple getting together. The couples we see in modern media, they're all chemistry couples. There's a reason they break up like 15 times. There's a reason that Ross and Rachel only got together in the very last episode, right? They're a chemistry couple. And we don't see what happens once they're together and they're trying to raise their baby. Like, we don't know what happens, but it's probably not going to be great given the 10 seasons prior. So what happens after the marriage? We don't get to know. But if you find chemistry and compatibility in one person, then you'll know. You'll have longevity. And the real thing is, if you aren't ready to have a family, you aren't ready to have sex. If that guy is not the man you want to be the father of your children, you are not ready to have sex with him. Now, one of the great things about waiting to have sex is it weeds out the men who are looking for sex more than a relationship. As you saw in my first date story, it weeded him out pretty quick. It's really a wonderful way to find the person who wants to wait with you and gives sex the same importance that you do. So when I met my husband, we asked the big questions early, right from the start. Maybe the second time we met. And worked out. We got engaged 5.5 months later and then got married a year under the day to when we started dating. Fast turnaround. But we were very clear with each other that we wanted to talk about that compatibility. But my husband was raised Reform Jewish, and I was raised Orthodox. Now, at the time, I was what we call off the derech, which means off the path, off the journey a little bit. I wasn't as observant as I am now. But I knew by the time I had children, I wanted to be keeping everything that I could so that I could raise my child in a religious Jewish home. So I said to my now husband, this is important to me. I want to be religious. I want to work on my faith. And by the time I have children, I want to be observant. And he said, okay, me too. And even though he wasn't the finished product when we met, and even though he needed to learn quite a bit more than I did, because for me, it was just returning to what I had known. For him, it was starting from scratch. He was intentional about wanting to be observant. And so I could give him the opportunity to prove that. So the first part of this is ask the big questions early, right? Now, I usually say you don't have to ask the big questions on the first date. Give yourself a chance to experience that chemistry, see if you guys hit it off. But by date number 2, ask those questions. Now, some people will say, oh, that's still too fast, but I'm a woman and I know that if I've had a good first date, by date number 2, I'm in it. I'm ready. I'm like, this is the guy. I love this man. And by date number 4, it's too late. You're gone. So date number 2 is a good time to ask those questions. And it doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be an interrogation. It can be brought up in a natural way. But why not ask those questions? What's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to say something that you don't like? Okay, great. He's not for you. Solution. Dating isn't fun, but it really can be. When you meet that person who you just absolutely adore spending time with, going on dates is awesome. And you don't get to do it much when you're married and you have kids. So take advantage of that time before, when he still, wants to put on something nice for you and you're still shaving your legs. Take advantage of that time. Take dating seriously. And if you do, you'll find your happily ever after. I personally experienced sexual assault, so I understand it. They need to realize that their worth as a person hasn't diminished at all. And that's really the big thing, is that a lot of the time when somebody's been sexually assaulted, their first feeling is, well, I'm worthless. And they're not, obviously. So I think being so kind and loving when they've been in that situation and saying, now, moving forward, you know your worth. Know how worthy you are. You know how special and important you are. And the only man who's ever going to get to touch you is somebody who knows how worthy you are too. And I think that carrying that forward, that confidence that I'm only ever going to be in a safe situation with someone who loves me, cares about me, wants to share a future with me, I think that gives women a confidence that they're going to be safe, okay, and make good choices. And they can trust themselves. One of the things I want to mention is that feminism has encouraged women to ignore their own intuition when it comes to being around bad men, right? Because you should sleep with whoever. Oh, you're interested in this guy? He's hot? Great, go for it. No. If you feel something in the pit of your stomach that makes you go, trust it. And the friends that you have that have experienced this, they can trust that feeling, as long as they've also, dealt with it in therapy and things like that, so that they aren't just afraid of men generally. But I think that is the first thing that you should talk about with them, is that they're worthy. I would say that this sort of goes in line with whether or not this is a person you're trying to change, or whether this is a person who's already made the intention or already has the intention to change. If you're hitting it off with somebody who has been very clear that he does not believe in God, or that he doesn't want to get married and have kids, that's not a relationship, that's not a person you can change. And you can't, he may change on his own in the future, but at this point, you can't be the person to change, and you don't want to waste your time being the person who has to change him. So accepting somebody, I would say accepting them for where they're at also means accepting them for where they're at, and saying that the timing may not have been right for us, but that means there's a person for me who's different and a person for you who's different. And by the time you're ready to make those choices and changes, it's not going to be with me. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's honestly, it's just the truth. And it's when you meet the person you're supposed to end up with, then you'll realize in retrospect, this wasn't the right person. I've always said, my husband and I, if someone had told me when I was 18 that this was the guy I was going to marry, I would have been like, really? Like, okay. But by the time I was 23, and that was when we met, by the time I was 23 when we met, it made sense. If we had met at 18, it would not have.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you aren't already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I would love if you would follow me on all social media. It's at Classically Abby, absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.